Hello and welcome to this week's Climate Dispatch, a special edition. Johanna Miller, Vermont Natural Resources Council. And as a throwback to dispatches past, I'm joined by VNRC's Executive Director, Lauren Hurl. And Lauren and I are really excited and thankful to be joined today by Vermont's Attorney General, Charity Clark. Thank you so much for joining us today, AG Clark. We know you and your team have been incredibly busy working on so many really important public interests, civil justice, environmental protection, and other critical issues. So we're really excited to hear from you and update on what's happening in the climate and energy arena and beyond. But really quickly, before I turn it over to AG Clark, just a couple of quick updates. We've been keeping you abreast of several important clean energy and climate policies in the legislature. It's been a crazy busy legislative week with long days for lawmakers tackling the budget and many other important bills. But in terms of bills we've been keeping you up to date on, good news. The House passed the Greenhouse Gas Emissions Reporting Bill. Bad news there, though, is that they passed it without the money necessary to implement it. So that means more work to do in the Senate, recognizing tight fiscal times, but ideally a nominal investment in standing up this program. Also, just really quickly, the House is taking up data centers today. And we think unless they postpone action again, ideally they will move that forward. And then next week, House Energy is taking up portable solar and appliance efficiency standards. So stay tuned. But this week we are really excited to have Attorney General Clark alongside her team has been working really hard on a variety of issues. And one really important one, Lauren, is about the endangerment finding. So.
Yeah, so it was, really recent news that there was a big multi-state lawsuit filed about the EPA endangerment finding. So we thought it was a ripe time to invite back a Charity. So thank you so much for taking the time, and so personally grateful that you have ensured that Vermont is at the forefront of defending our rights and our environment. So could you just tell us a little bit remind folks, why is the EPA endangerment finding so important, and why did you make the decision to join that lawsuit on behalf of Vermonters?
So thanks for having me, first of all. So the endangerment finding has been around for several years, and long story short, there was a Supreme Court case that instructed the EPA to decide whether air pollutants or greenhouse gas emissions are included in air pollutants. They concluded that they were. Then they concluded that that greenhouse gas emissions endanger public health. And so we've sort of been living under that for many years now. All of a sudden, and in some cases, in some respects, not surprising at all, the Trump administration, who loves fossil fuels because they're living in the past, didn't like that the EPA made that conclusion, and contrary to science, tried to undo it. We filed a petition for review. It's kind of like a lawsuit, but actually what it's doing is it's a petition for review. And what are we asking the court to review? This EPA's decision to undo this. And we filed that alongside many other states. It's important to Vermont for a number of reasons. And I don't want to get into all like the complications of it, but we follow like a California model when it comes to regulations of cars. That's because it predated this finding, the initial finding, not this undoing of the finding. So it's kind of a complicated journey, but the system that we have now allows the EPA to regulate greenhouse gas emissions. So it's the avenue that allows the EPA to do the work that they've done in protecting all of us, because it is a public safety issue, from the problems of greenhouse gas emissions. So that is why we filed this. The petition itself doesn't have a lot of the reasoning. It has no reasoning. It's just the petition itself. We will be filing papers that have arguments like you're used to seeing in a regular lawsuit soon enough. But we did start the process by filing the petition for review, and really proud to once again be fighting the Trump administration to uphold the values of Vermont. And that, of course, includes protecting our natural environment.
Thank you so much for taking this up, and really grateful for your leadership on that. We'll be staying tuned and supportive in whatever way possible. And speaking of lawsuits, another big effort that you and your team are deeply involved in relates to the defense of the Climate Superfund law. And, on Monday, you and your team and others will be in federal district court in Rutland to hear arguments in the first major court test of this first in the world polluter pays law. Can you tell us a little bit about the suit, who brought it, and whatever you can tell us about what your team will be defending on behalf of Vermonters related to the Climate Superfund?
Sure. So the Climate Superfund Act was recently passed. Probably your listeners are familiar with the mechanism, but it has several steps in determining how much money the fossil fuel companies and which fossil fuel companies will have to pay to rectify the problem of the damages that Vermont is experiencing. And with all of our flooding recently, it's very fresh. I don't think we need to recount that problem. What the fossil fuel company did is they sued to say this is unconstitutional, and we have filed in response to the lawsuit a motion to dismiss. A motion to dismiss is a motion that's not on the facts; it's on the law, and so we are arguing that in Rutland in federal court on Monday. My team has been working very hard doing, we call them moots, where you're practicing your argument and people pretend to be the judge and ask hard questions. I know they're going to be working through the weekend before Monday's hearing. So we are always proud to, represent Vermont and fight for Vermont, and especially our legislature. We supported this law moving ahead, and we're pleased to be doing the work that we're doing now to protect it.
Great. Thank you for that. Another important fight for Vermonters. And just to wrap up, I know that there's a ton of other work that your office has been doing to defend Vermonters' rights and environment, as we said. So are there any other highlights you'd want to share with people about what you and your office have been up to on behalf of Vermonters?
Well, I thank you for that. I would love to say a little bit about some of the lawsuits that we have had to file against the Trump administration, mostly because wherever I go in the supermarket, dropping my kid off, people want to talk to me about this. So I think your listeners were probably interested. We have had to now sue. Our latest lawsuit was the 46th lawsuit that we have brought against the Trump administration in the year and 3 months that he has been president, which is kind of wild. But there's definitely themes. A big theme, I mean, it's always the same laws and problems with the Constitution. So it's like constitutional violations, that the president wants to do jobs that are assigned to other people, like the legislative branch, who gets to spend the taxpayers' money. And the federal law that he loves to violate is the Administrative Procedures Act, which basically just tells his administration, like, here's how you conduct business. And he's pushing the boundaries of his authority. I think he's testing them, and he's really wasting a lot of people a lot of time and money, because our win rate on these it's like 95% of these cases we have won, in a preliminary stage. So it's been a ton of work. It's a shame, but we are proud to be in the position that we are to protect democracy and our federalist system, because really a lot of this is attack on democracy, because he's attacking the Constitution or disrespecting the Constitution. So yes, we continue to file these, and relevant, especially to your listeners, during the first Trump administration, over half of the lawsuits that we had to bring, we brought 62 in the course of 4 years, half of them related to the environment. We're seeing a wide variety, but lately it does seem like there's been a lot more focus on the environment. I feel like the Trump administration started somewhere else, but they're coming around to one of their favorite themes, attacking the environment and putting their blinders on when it comes to climate change. So that is something that I'm seeing a lot more of lately. And I think people need to keep active and keep the mindset of, this is a temporary experience we're having. It's a 4-year term. We're more than a quarter of the way through it, but there is a moment in time where things can really, really change before the 4 years is up. And that is the congressional midterms, which happen this fall. So people should be keeping that in mind and doing what they can, and with their time and their passion, to support efforts to make sure that Congress is doing their job and standing up to a president who wishes to do their job for them and push the boundaries of what the executive branch is allowed to do.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Attorney General Clark, for all you're doing, all you and your team are going to continue to do to, yeah, protect Vermonters, protect our environment, and really, support us as we work through this moment in time, as you mentioned. We always like to end the climate dispatches with a call to action, and I think AG Clark really pivoted to our call to action this week well, which is to join a No Kings March near you. AG Clark will be in Montpelier tomorrow, I think joined by Senator Welch and many others, hopefully you, but we're going to put a link in the email. You can find a No Kings March near you. And yeah, this is a moment to be in solidarity. We are so grateful for the leadership your team has been providing to Vermont in collaboration with other states, thankfully, and we hope we are successful in meeting this moment. So thank you so much again, Charity. Really appreciate your time and so deeply grateful for your leadership. Hope to see you
For
tomorrow.
having me. Yeah, see you tomorrow.